I'm Sean Childs, back doing a draft recap that I did for RTSports on Sunday night, August 23rd. My work can be found at fantasyanalyst.substack.com, and I also have a data, projections and depth charts and other tool site that I put on the market a couple of weeks ago, fantasyfootballpaydirt.com, and we're moving into the draft season. This is an interesting format because this is for the drafters who like wide receivers. This format kind of favors that a little bit. You still have to get out at the running back position because they shove them kind of early. So RT Sports is basically kind of more of the $350-$300 event and lower fantasy football league. They have a lot of good options for the lower tier players to get in leagues and get plenty of action. Their main event, which is pretty much the Wyckoff rules, matched them for once they went out of business and ran an online championship. I think the entry fee for this league is $300. Overall, it's $500,000. I don't know how many teams they need to fill it out, but it's basically 12 teams, 4 points for passing TDs, PPR format. It has 2 flex, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. So by adding that extra flex, the drafters have the ability to play 4 running backs if they want to. That changes draft flow a little bit. And some players like running backs more than wide receivers, but it also creates a little hoarding thing at times if everybody falls in this lane. So when I'm going to show you this draft board, and I do not like what they did here. It's going to be hard to see these names. Most draft boards, they're going to show the sticker position if it's green for running back, yellow for wide receivers, pink or reddish for quarterbacks and whatever it is. But this format is all in white. There's a little bit of colors for the positions when you're looking at them, but the visual effect, I think they didn't do a good job here. The draft one's fine and stuff like that, and they made some upgrades and they added a lot of tools to it and made a lot of differences. But they really should, stick to the colors so you can see the draft flows of the positions a little bit better. And it'll be a little bit more difficult for me to describe the draft flows or for you to visualize what happened here. So anyways, I had picked 10 in this one, and I did that FFPC draft the next night, and I end up taking Hampton in the second round. But because when you go to do a different format, you have to understand the draft flow is going to be a little bit different. And also, if you're doing it the first time, you're looking at their queue and you're at the mercy of how they come off the board. So, you're reading numbers, but the players that do these drafts a lot are going to have an advantage of knowing that who's moving up and moving down. I potentially could have spent a little bit of time and looked at their ADPs. I'm not sure that I could read them as good as the NFFC, but it would be helpful if I looked at them. It's not like I don't know the names and have an opinion because I've done months of research. I've done projections. I can see whatever, but in the end, I'm doing the projections. It's opinion. What thoughts of what you're reading of stuff, and injuries are a huge factor. And players, look at baseball. There's so many good players in baseball this year that had underperformed expectations and stuff like that. But anyway, so pick 10. So I took Hampton because of the format. And what ended up happening was, James Cook went in the first round, and he's normally a second round player. But I took Amari and Hampton. I wanted to have a share of him. Didn't even know I was going to have that decision the next night. But Barkley went in the first round. Chase Brown went in the first round. Devon Achane went on the turn. Kenneth Walker, so 6 running backs in a row. So that just shows right there, if you're sitting in the seat, that the running backs are going to go a little bit faster. Was really happy to get CeeDee Lamb in the second round, volume receiver coming off a down year. He's got a good second wide receiver to compete for targets, but he's the type of guy that could actually, 2 years ago, he was, the best receiver in the game or something like that, but the top 2 at best, at least. Anyway, so it came back to me, I wanted to get a wide receiver on the, coming back. So I had this is where, the flow of the receivers kind of tripped me up a little bit because I ended up taking Zay Flowers, so I took my first shot, and I do like McMillan, but I think in this one I would. I should even back up. Going when I was on the clock in the third round, who was walking down to me, which would have been a huge break in any format, was Trey McBride. I would have got him. He went one pick before me, and I was like, I know that this guy is going to take him. He made it one pick before, but, if you're at the end of the draft, it's hard for somebody to slide too many picks. So he took McBride. He was a slam dunk. I would have taken him. Just take the advantage of the position and go from there. So I take Flowers of the volume, but looking back, I thought maybe McMillan would make it back to me, but if I looked at the queue a little bit better, I could see that he wouldn't. So I think I would have preferred to have him as a number 2 instead of Flowers in this particular case. And then I came back with DJ Moore, who I got in the 5th round in the FFPC draft, just because of draft flows. And in this FFPC does a good job of, like, when DJ Moore would come off the board, it would say like wide receiver 25 or whatever it is. So I can't see that number well, and because of the highlight of the stickers, it doesn't read as play as well. But so Wilson went before me, then Judkins, Tootin, Brees Hall, so some other running backs. So Jadarian Price went in the 4th round in this, which is the highest I've seen, and he's another league that I didn't end up with that player who I'm kind of interested in. So because of the format and where we're at, I decided that I would just take Fannin again because I didn't want to. Colson Loveland went in the 5th round. In tight ends, I would think in this format would slide further down, but I just said, you know what? I don't want to chase the position. I want to see what's going to what will happen. So I took him. I came back and took Harvey, who I've been talking about in a couple other drafts. I said I might as well get him out of the way. I thought that I potentially could get some value at wide receivers later on. So came back to me. Marvin Harrison slid to me. I was really happy with that because he was early as 7th round in the other events. I think that he's capable of being a top 25 receiver, and you're getting him as a wide receiver 4. That's kind of an advantage. I still have to get out a running back position because Harvey is my number 2, is looking a lot different than some of those other ones where I could potentially was looking to get him as a running back 3. Comes out of the turn around 8. Drake May's there, and I got him projected as number 1 quarterback in some scoring formats. So I figured, you know what, get a share of him in this league. We don't have to worry about the bye weeks and stuff like that in this format because they run their championships parallel to the overall championship. But still late in the year, it's a little bit of factor. But their rules as far as the playoffs are a little more favorable. So I came back. I took pass catching back. I took a Rashad White. The wide receivers there when I was because in this draft I do not have a third running back, but I got 4 good receivers. So I thought that again, getting the pass catching back was important. I came back and I handcuffed Coleman with Harvey, which I've said that I wanted to do in that particular case. Came back, we're coming down 11, so we get on 10s going away from me 11. And I go with Bo Nix. I was really surprised that Patrick Mahomes is on the board, really, really late, maybe because he might not start week 1. People faded him. Even in the FFPC draft I did on Tuesday night or Monday night, he went extremely late, which was surprising. But I just went with Nix to get another good quarterback just in case I don't know this format well enough to know when they're going to take their backup quarterbacks. Came back and took a second tight end with Ferguson. Took Keyshawn Boutte. I think I took him before. Yeah, this was Sunday night. He didn't get traded till Monday, so I took him before the news. And he's as a 5th wide receiver. He's really not as strong that I expected. Came back, took Singleton again, who I really like, and explained that like he can cover for. Tajay Spears had some injury risk. Pollard doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, so I think that he could be the goal line back with upside. If they have injury, I came back with Allen, was able to handcuff him with White, so I did that, what I didn't do in my first FFPC draft. So I got 2 handcuffs for running backs. I got an upside running back. I got a player up front. I don't know if somebody took the Vidal guy in this draft to back up. So I couldn't handcuff. I probably should have taken him in this one. I'm trying to look. Like I said, these numbers are kind of thing. I can't see where. Oh, he went in the 17th round. So I maybe I should have taken him instead of taking the Broncos defense, because that's a mistake. I didn't handcuff my top running back. So, and maybe I should have had him over Allen because Hampton was more important. So that was kind of a mistake in this draft. But, sometimes when the running backs get drafted, like in the 17th round, if your player plays well and they have other needs in his bye weeks, he'll end up getting cut. And by week 7, it's early enough. So, but I took the Broncos defense, figured they kind of underachieved last year, bounced back to Desmond Jennings, a guy who could chip in a game, games once in a while. And I just took Travis Hunter based on talent, not on opportunity, really cloudy over Jacksonville. Came back with the kicker from Minnesota, who I think got a good leg. He scored 170 points last year for Richard. And then came back with Tesla, who scored touchdowns last year, didn't get a lot of actions. The momentum in the camp really hasn't been positive for him. But, when the regular season will change. And I think that, he can score, and we'll see what happens. But, a lot of the back end. So I don't think that I got the right kind of wide receiver depth like I did in the last draft. And I did make that one mistake where, if I'm taking Keyshawn Boutte is in the 13th round and I'm taking him in another draft in like the 18th round, like I should have squeezed in that extra running back. But I felt as though, based on their queue, that the available wide receivers weren't on the same level that I would see in that other format, the FFPC, which is helped because there's so many tight ends that get drafted. So just like I haven't done an NFFC draft. I did do an online championship though, but I haven't done one recently. So I don't see the the same draft flows, but I have, can see better information there. So, but overall, I think it's a decent team, different looking team. We'll see what happens there. And like I said, I made, potentially one mistake. So this recap is a little bit quicker. But I do think that if you play in like the home style leagues, and like I said, if you like the wide receiver position, this format's a little more favorable. And 500,000 for overall is not bad. The league prizes aren't anything crazy for $300, but it's a type of contest. You throw a dart in, you never know if you could if something gels at the right time. So I would like to have 3 or 6 teams in this. I'm not sure if I'll do any more, but just busy doing stuff, and not sure how much I can invest this year with the job is a little more in flux than in past years. So appreciate time. Thank you.